the not being able to pick the phone up, the not being able to meet up, the thought of growing up and not having a father, the thought of having children and then not having a grandfather at the time was, I just couldn't even begin to imagine how I could move on with my life. But somehow you do. You just find a way of just coping with things and getting on with it. I think at the time, bearing in mind it's 29 years ago, there wasn't as much support as there is now. People were a little more frightened about talking about it, I think. There was a lot more stigma around it. I think now, unfortunately, it seems more common, and I think people are more able to talk about it. Well, I found out by a phone call from the police. He'd been expected to come home for lunch that day, and I'd been phoning from work and he hadn't arrived, and I just felt that following the letter that had been put through my door the night before, something was very wrong. And then I had the phone call to tell me that unfortunately he'd been involved in a car accident. I think the guilt came after the shock, once things had been accepted a little more. And then there was the guilt of what I could have done could I have done anything to have changed things? Could I have kept him here? Could I have done something that would have made a difference? I think I felt that if I'd been in that evening when he put the letter through the door, if I'd been able to talk to him, I might have been able to persuade him, who knows. Because of the stigma around the fact that it was suicide, was something that was very difficult to talk to other family members about. We sort of went on the grounds that it was, it was a car accident, and that maybe it was best not to go into too much detail. And so for a long time we didn't talk about whether he had taken his own life. And it's only in later years, as we've been able to, as we've matured and been able to discuss things more, that we've been able to talk about it in more detail.